There is an esoteric saying which is, as above, so below. The saying allows us to speculate what is above, which is the sky, and below, which is our earth. As we have entered a new age in the 21st century of new amazing discovery in the universe, and as we're paying more attention to our earth, it's indeed interesting the concept as above, so below. I'm Agneta Borstein. I'm an astrologer, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the show From the Sky to Earth. Today we're going to talk about the 12th Zodiac, Part 2. Part 1 was filmed earlier, and you can look at that under our Nutmeg television as soon as you can. So what we did, we went through the basic foundation of the elements. We're going to divide them in elements, and we take a look at the whole zodiac on the ecliptic, where the 12 zodiacs exist since ancient times, and we still read them in our newspapers. But basically the elements that we took before, we're now going to go through the air sign and the water signs. They are 3 each, and we follow suit by taking a look at, we're not going to learn the symbols, but we're going to go through Gemini, Libra and Aquarius, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. And again, the part 1, we went through the fire sign Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, and also the earth sign Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. So when we see those basic individual, as far as the air sign, we find them being more talkative, versatile, social, aloof at times, but bright and changeable in their personality. We have Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. So Gemini is May 20th through June 21st, and Libra September 22nd through October 23rd. Aquarius runs from January 20th to the February 19th. And some of you might be right on the cusp, so you can find your sun sign by looking at the internet or in a book, because every year change because of diurnal motion of the sun, everything changes and shifts, and also the leap year does involve with the change of these dates that you might be right on the cusp. But again, you can look up on the in books, or you can look up on the internet under free astrological chart. There's also a service called Astrolabe, astrobale.com. That is a very good source for you to find the source of what your zodiac sign. So the sun is just one part when we look at the astrological chart. So we're going to do the basic fundamental part of our sun first in Gemini. We have the symbol on the right side, and we have the duality of Gemini. Now, Geminis are a little restless. They can be ruthless because they just get scattered. They are changeable in their personality, and sometimes a little scattered because the mind is always very busy, of course, nowadays. But it's also fun, imaginative, clever, and there is a duality. Gemini can adjust to just about any situation because there's that duality, and they can be funny and witty. And often, sometimes Gemini is supposed to be like not really honest, and they shift, and they have 2 personalities. And sometimes I say they might even have 54 personalities, because it's just a lot in that Gemini duality of cleverness and changeable. They can put themselves into different situations because of that air sign, the air element. For example, some Gemini that I took just out of, I don't want to do political or who is famous, just took some personalities that you might connect to. For example, in another episode that we did under relationships that you can view under the program of as From the Sky to Earth. We talked about Angelina Jolie's chart. She's a Gemini. And so was Marilyn Monroe. You have that flair and all the different changeable, neurotic sometimes, of course. President John F. Kennedy was a Gemini, and that would be a person to remember as being communicative and being labeled and allowed to bring out words to the people. Paul McCartney is a Gemini, and he's writing. There's a lot of writing in the personality of Geminis. It rules the lungs, so there's that part of the energy that is talking in the lungs and communicate, and of course being funny. So I don't consider it being a superficial sign. I think it's a funny and it's versatile, and we should just always try to not to discriminate any of the sun signs or the zodiac signs, of course. The next zodiac sign in the element of air is the sign Libra. Now Libra can be indecisive. They at times can not know what they want, like off balance, if you will. You see the symbol of the scale on the screen. They want everything perfect, but we know it's not. It can be moody. It can be versatile in the way of saying, I don't know what I want. Many Libras might say, I don't know what I want to wear. I don't know what boyfriend I should go out with. Is that indecisive, and they try to find the perhaps perfect partner. Is nothing wrong to find, but also to be a little more not so perfect in the way of looking at peace. There's always peace and harmony in our hearts, but it's not always so in real life. So they are open-minded to new ways of looking at how to balance their moodiness at times and finding different ways. So they have absolutely a strong fairness embedded in their personalities. They are very good listeners, and they have a good diplomatic ways of looking at their personalities, as in, we started off last time, there was the spring equinox, and Libra represents the fall equinox. So that would be the scale of finding balance and going into other times of the fall. Some of the famous or infamous people that I looked up for being a Libra was Mahatma Gandhi, who always sought peace, but it wasn't so always around him, of course. John Lennon was a Libra, and of course Libra also loves the music and the art and the harmonious parts of life. Classical music is often in the quietness and the peacefulness, and then they step out and there's some different avenue there. Vladimir Putin is a Libra, and he has a lot of Libra planets, so we seek peace, hopefully. And Michael Douglas is a Libra too, so that's the charmer of being, in general, Libra has a very diplomatic and right ways of expressing themselves. The planet that belongs, that we're going to do another session, is Venus, so they really do like that quality of life and the harmonious aspect that we all seek. The next air sign is the sign Aquarius. And that's an interesting symbol. Often they are depicted with a man or woman carrying an urn with water, but I just told you is an air sign. So the water is more flow of what comes out in the Aquarian way of consciousness. To be in touch with that consciousness is also the Aquarian way of often being detached. They are like a little bit, sometimes even aloof about what they really feel, because there's so much in that persuasive air quality to be non-committed. They go, let me think about that, and they have this way of interacting with people. They are, of course, visionary. There is that connotation that we're going towards a new age, whatever that means. We can talk about those cycles that are 2,000 years that are shifting from Pisces and going into Aquarius as we speak. But we might do that at another segment of From the Sky to Earth. So they are visionaries, and they rule that friendship and groups, support groups are very common for Aquarius to be friendly enough to go out, but sometimes they go home by themselves. They are humanitarian, very much causes to be humanitarian aspect of no borders, if you will, and finding integration into society. And the Aquarian way would be perhaps to to find and accept everybody. That would be part of our image of Aquarius nowadays, but also Aquarius and all of us, all zodiac signs, they become very traditional and firm and set in their ways because that flow of consciousness doesn't move all the time. The symbols are very significant in our language of astrology. And the part of ankles is like something can just not move quite the way the Aquarius like it to be. Some Aquarius, more or less famous people, are Wolfgang Mozart, that we still remember he would start to write his music at 4 years old, so that's part of just the flow comes in very interesting in studying a chart on somebody that is not even here. But Oprah Winfrey, she is an Aquarius, and we welcome her view about bringing so many good and positive solution to people that might be wounded, or the way she comes out and giving people hope. That has been very prominent for her success and continuing success. Bob Marley was an Aquarius, and he definitely had a mission or vision about bringing his music to the world, and that's still very respected and accepted. Abraham Lincoln was an Aquarius, and you talk about vision, about the whole time of the Civil War that was going on, and his vision of insisting that the proclamation of Declaration of Proclamation of Independence would come in steps, and he was very much not giving up his vision, that I think some of us would thank Abraham Lincoln for today. So those are basically the air element that we concise, and now we move in to the water signs. And the water, of course, we know, as important as it is, we always have that feeling inside of us about the emotions being waters. When we're born, we have a lot of waters in our systems, and then we grow older, and there's less, and we get more dense. But we know the water quality is all about finding ways to be showing our emotion and not hold them back. So the first sign of the water elements are Cancer. That is Cancer, June 21st to July 21st, Scorpio, October 21st through November 21st, and Pisces, February 21st through March 21st. And again, if you have just joined us, this is From the Sky to Earth, and we're going through the zodiac signs according to the elements. So if you don't know your sun sign, and sometimes June 20th could be June 21st, so it is the technical part of what we are working with. So again, the sun in the water, the elements water, often has a way of being sensitive. They are emotional, they show what they want to really bring out to the public or to their friends. So they're very compassionate people, sympathetic and nurturing, and that's the overall view of the element water, because the part of you could have more water in your zodiac sign. You could be in Aries and have a lot of element water in your personal chart, which also brings out that we do look in the paper, myself including sometimes, to see that is the sun sign that is in most astrological, regular newspapers. Anybody knows that we look at it, and that's going to affect the 30 degrees, or the 30 days rather, which is also 30 degrees of one sign circulating in relating to the 12 zodiac signs. So when we have the sun in water, the first element or the first sign in the element is Cancer. Now the Cancer is a very beautiful but very sensitive sign. They can be very moody, like the crab, and they can just sting when it needs to, but it's very quiet. It can get too emotional and a little snappy. Think about if you stepped on a crab, like, it could just like hurt a little bit. So that's okay, because we do have that, astrological joke or something like that with all the zodiac sign. We try to have a little fun and not be too set in our patterns. So the Cancer is like the crybaby. Oh, poor Cancer. Oh, so sad. But it rules the moon, so it has to show its emotion or not. But when it does show its emotion, Cancer are sensitive, beautiful. It likes to bake the cookies, and the domestic part of that we all have. The tenacious part of just continuation of giving out to what needs to be given at times. And so caring for others is a very strong sign for Cancer. So we welcome that emotion to not be so crabby at times, but also to be in the quiet mode of the symbols. Cancer would be typical, the stomach issue. They get nervous and digestive system. So the womb also signify the symbols that we just hold, like let the feeling go, the gut level feeling come forth. So some interesting personalities with the sun in Cancer is the 14th Dalai Lama, and also the Princess Diana of Wales, who did her own personal suffering, never mind the end of her life, but she had some suffering to do in relating to her role as a princess. So we live and we learn, and we know that the new princess of Cambridge just had a baby girl, Charlotte. Nelson Mandela was a Cancer, and there's a lot of emotions for his vision about finishing the apartheid in South Africa, and the whole world are observing him, or did observe him, still learning from him. George Bush Jr. is a Cancer, and there's a lot to learn about his commitment to causes and to whatever else he didn't put his energy into. Meryl Streep, one of my favorite actresses, is a Cancer, and there is no end of her creativity. There's many different signs that are creative. Leo is a very creative sign, but in my practice I find that once we get to the source, Cancer is a very strong sign for artisans, because it comes from the deep depth of their soul, how to really not hold it in, but to be allowed to share it. It meaning the emotions. So the next element, Scorpio, sun sign, would be Scorpio. And of course Scorpio, everybody runs away when they find, oh, I'm a Scorpio, and it's a very misunderstood sign, because it's that really Scorpio. Not all Scorpios are so deadly as we pretend, and of course not in the state of Connecticut. But they can be shrewd. They are direct and sometimes painfully honest. They tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. They are forceful and secretive. So when that whole shell comes out from their personality, it's good to know the truth. We should hear the truth as sometimes from a true Scorpio, to say, okay, you were right. Scorpio can turn their back around if you had a fight or there's a disagreement. A Scorpio personality turns their back around, and you will never hear from him or her ever. But when you have a committed relationship or a committed friendship, you want a Scorpio to be there. They are very committed, they are very dynamic in their approach, and again, direct and honest in what they have to say. They are also quiet. They can be quiet for a long time at times, and that's okay, because that might be better for them to figure out what it is that has to be. It's almost like the basic symbol of Scorpio is birth and death. So we take that as a transformation. Changes occurs in all Scorpios' lives. A typical sign for Scorpio is Julia Roberts. I mean, you never see a beautiful, more, charismatic actress, but also strong in her belief system and committed to her children. Bill Gates is a Scorpio. There is that they want to be successful, because they have their way of being shrewd business people. I want to achieve, I want to have my goals, and they get it many times. Hillary Clinton is a Scorpio. She has a Pisces moon, so there's a lot of perhaps outwardly misunderstanding what she did or doesn't do and all that, and the running for the president, which we could talk about another time, but just as a personality, very committed. She's going to say it like it is. There's no wish-washing. But with the Pisces moon, just to put that in, is that it's also the compassion of another water element. And Pablo Picasso happened to be a Scorpio. His painting with the intensity, and his way of living too, also very intense. Love that Scorpio directness. The last element, the last sign of the element water is Pisces. There is a certain deceptive way of Pisces. They try to escape into, another world at times. Can be drugs, alcohol, but of course not all the time. But they have a way to be the sentimental part. There's two sides to Pisces, as it is the two sides. One loves to help, and one couldn't care less about what had to be done. So there is that two-faced personality in when the Pisces is serve, I will help you, I suffer if I can't help you, and the other one says, I didn't even get a thank you, so I'm not going to do that again. So there is a little bit of the sacrificial part of Pisces that we might also have to balance at times, to realize Pisces have to learn how to say no at times. Very difficult. They are very sociable and very caring. They are very compassionate for the water when they do have a mission to help. It's all about helping. They are actually healers or intuitive. Even the psychic realm could be a Pisces or the moon in Pisces. They have a great strength of imagination. Some that are known in the scheme of being a Pisces would be Albert Einstein. I can just imagine his mind. He can see things, he can process things, or he was able to really come up with practical results. Steve Jobs was a Pisces. There is a lot of that too, the invention, the fantasy. What is real or what is not real? That's all the Pisces and the meditation and those odd experiences. Elizabeth Taylor was a Pisces, and I think she took on the role of helping other people versus herself, but also the addictive personality around her could also be her own way of saving those around her, if you will. Johnny Cash, who had some drug problem, but also was the greatest musician, also was a Pisces. So you come into terms with how the elements circulate in that process of water, being kind of like the Pisces rules the feet. So I have 2 feet on the ground and balance that as much as we can. And when we look at that in its synthesizing between part 1 and part 2 about the 12 zodiacs, that would be that we always come back to, we have a chart with the sun signs, and then we have our own personal chart, and we have most of the time 10 planets. We put things in and we take things out, but overall this segment from the sky to earth is also about kind of having a little bit of knowledge with the lightness of it meaning the language of astrology. And I do thank you for coming to visit me. Again, you can see more segments under www.nutmeg.tv that I have had in the past. So segment 1 and 2 was the basic zodiac signs for you to see how much there is to growth, and there's always positive and negative, the yin and the yang, male and female, the dark and the light. Whatever we're looking at, we will always try to balance into practical application. So I do thank you for visiting me today. My name is Agneta, and I want to thank Nutmeg Television for our ability to bring you this kind of information and the other shows that they are putting on for us. So thank you for visiting today.